Alright, so I know I'm looking real greasy, y'all, but just trust the process. We're
Bring it right back to me, baby. No, we've been here before.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. My name is Candice, and this is Everything Beauty with Candice B. So summer is here, y'all. So that means it's time to update my foundation routine and just make the changes that I need to make sure that my makeup is staying fresh and it looks good all day long, even in this summer heat. In the summertime, it tends to get pretty dry outside. I live in Southern California, which is really close to the desert. So it gets really hot and really dry. And in this heat, what do? We turn on the air conditioning. And air conditioning tends to dry out your skin. So you dry on the inside, you dry on the outside, you just dry. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how I combat that so that I keep my makeup looking fresh and right the entire day. So we're gonna get into it right now. Since we're focusing on foundation today, my brows and eyes are already done. My skin has nothing on it. I just washed my face and then I got into my brows and my eyes. So now let's get into the skincare side of things, because part of having flawless foundation is to have good skincare before it. So the first thing I need to do is really tone my face. So I'm gonna be using the Kiehl's Ultra Facial Toner. This one is a really gentle toner and it's meant to just balance the skin before we start putting on all of the rest of the skincare products. So I just squeeze a little bit onto a cotton ball pad or cotton ball, whatever, and just really wipe it over my face. It does a good job at getting rid of the oil that I've produced on my skin because I'm already kind of greasy. And it just balances the skin. It adds moisture where it's needed and takes away the oil where it's not needed. I just gently rub it all over my face, and then we'll move into eye cream. For eye cream, y'all already know if y'all watch my channel, it's the only one I use. It's the Kiehl's Creamy Eye Treatment with Avocado. Love this one. It looks like this. It's kind of green, kind of yellow. And I just stick my ring finger in and just put it all underneath my eyes. I'm telling y'all, if y'all not using eye cream, y'all need to get on it. It's better to be proactive than reactive. So I'm trying to block any future lines or wrinkles that's gonna come around these eyes. I rebuke them. So I just dot this under my eyes until it disappears. And then my eyes are protected and moisturized. The next step is moisturizer, and I use the Believe True Cream Moisturizing Balm. I really like a really good moisturizer on my face. When I took a class in Sephora for foundation, they use the analogy of like a grape versus a raisin. So if your skin is hydrated and moist and plump like a grape, your foundation is going to go on really smooth and really even, and it's going to look really good throughout the day. But if your skin is dry like a raisin, it's not going to go on smooth. It's going to look cracky. It's gonna look crackly. It's going to get cakey. It's not gonna look good because your skin isn't hydrated. Even if you have oily skin, which I tend to get in the summertime, it's still good to hydrate your skin, because from what I've learned, oily skin just means that your skin is dehydrated. It's dry and it overproduces oil to keep your skin moist. So you may not want to use a heavy moisturizer like I do. You can use like a a gel-based moisturizer. So Believe also has the Aqua Bomb moisturizer, which is a little bit lighter, but you still want to put on some kind of moisturizer. Since it's summer, you want to make sure you're wearing sunscreen. So I use the Tula, what is it called? Protect and Glow. It's SPF 30. I love this moisturizer. It just gives me a glow, and it has like little pearls, I think, inside. But it doesn't look glittery or anything once you put it on your face. And I know I said this is for summer, but you should be wearing sunscreen every single day. It just really protects your skin from getting really wrinkly, or if you have hyperpigmentation like I do, it helps it not to get as dark once you are like done with acne, and it helps to just really keep your skin even. Okay, so now that I'm looking like a glazed donut, it's time to get to the makeup side of things. So the first thing I'm going to use now is a primer, just to really hold my foundation and keep it in place for the day. So I use the Milk Hydro Grip primer. This is kind of my everyday primer. I like using this one. I like how it goes on to the skin because it's kind of tacky once it dries down, and I feel like it just really grips my foundation and just holds it there in place. So I just used 2 pumps and I spread it all over my face, a little down my neck too, because you can't forget your neck, and just spread it all in an even layer. I try not to like rub it in like lotion. It's supposed to sit on top of your face to protect your skin from all of the products that you're getting ready to put on. Now it's spread on nice and even, so now I can get into the foundation. And today I'm going to be using one of my favorites. It's the Lancome Tint Ultra Wear Foundation. It also has SPF in it as well, so I like that extra layer of foundation. And I usually just put like maybe 2 pumps of foundation onto the back of my hand, and then I'll dot it all over my face, and then just use a brush to really just spread it all over my face and even it out. I use the shade 470 Suede C, and I know it looks really crazy and super light, but it does oxidize down to my perfect shade. Also, don't forget to get your neck. When I'm putting on the foundation with a brush, I like to use like the stippling type motions instead of a rubbing motion. It just really helps to even out the foundation all over. All right, so I know I'm looking real greasy, y'all, but just trust the process. We're gonna put on all of our liquids and creams first, and then we're gonna bring the powders in to save the day. Next up is concealer, and I'm gonna use the Tint All Over Concealer. I use the shade 460. I think it's Suede Warm. This one is just like a natural everyday color for me, so I'm gonna just put it under all of the places where I need brightness. So underneath my eyes, down the center of my nose, my forehead, my chin, and right above my lips. So I'm going to start blending it out, but I want to show you a little bit of the anatomy of my beauty sponge and how I use it. So you have your pointed tip at the top, and then you have your round bottom. So usually what I will do is I'll use one side of the sponge for blending out my concealer and all of my creams and stuff, and then on the other side I will use this side for powder. So once it's time to set all of that concealer, I'll use this side for powder, so I'm not mixing the liquid side with the powder side. And then also the bottom of my sponge I'll use to like even out all of the lines so there's no lines of demarcation, and it just helps to really diffuse and like melt everything together. So that's how I'm going to be using my sponge. So this side right here already has a little concealer on it, so I'm going to use this side to blend out. So now when I blend out my concealer, I always start with my chin and I work my way up and then out. I try to blend my under eyes last because I want that to have the most time just sitting and kind of drying down before I go in and blend it out. That just helps to avoid the concealer spreading all down my face. All right, chin is done. Now I'm just gonna get top of my lip, just blend that out, bring it all the way around my mouth because I do get a little bit darker, and I think a lot of women of color, black women, tend to have a darker shading right around the mouth, so I use concealer all the way around just to lighten it up and even it out. And now I'm gonna get my center of my nose and just bounce up and down on my nose until it's kind of light in the center and there's no lines on the side. And just bounce it all the way up till I get to the forehead and just blend it on out. Now I'm going to start getting my under eyes and just bounce underneath. Bounce, bounce, bounce until you don't see any lines. Okay, everything is all blended out, and now I'm going to go in with a little bit of contour, which I haven't been doing contour in a while. I tend to just stick with bronzer, but I found this little foundation stick that's been in my makeup drawer forever and ever and ever, and I want to start using it up. So I'm just going to put on a little bit of contour right here. Oh, and it's by, what is it, Smashbox. It's the Studio Skin Shaping Foundation Stick. I forgot to tell y'all that. And then it's the shade 4.2. So I just put 3 dots at the top of my head, and then maybe just one little bloop right there. Same right here. I try to put it up a little bit high because I don't want to put it down low. It just brings your face down. And that's all you need, because I'm not really a I'm not really a contour kind of girl, but I want to use it up. So now I'm just going to use a little foundation brush that I have from Sephora and just blend that out, and do that by using stippling motions just to kind of diffuse that color and make it look like a natural shadow of your skin. I still want this to be kind of a daytime look, so I didn't put as much contour as I would for like a nighttime heavier makeup kind of look. I just want a real slight, like natural looking shadow on my face, because I am still gonna go in with a powder bronzer and I don't want it to be too dark and too crazy looking. Okay, so now we have all of that blended out. Next up for me, before I go in with my powders, we're gonna put on a cream blush. So the one I'm using today is by Rare Beauty, and it's the shade Grace, so it's a pink look. I love this one. It's a nice everyday kind of pink. And since we haven't put on any powders yet, you can go pretty heavy with this. I'm not, but you can go pretty heavy with this and either put it on straight with the wand, or sometimes I like to just put it on top of my palette and rub it right here if I want it to be a lot softer and more diffused. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do right now. Look at that creasing, y'all. I'm creasing already because I haven't done my powder, but just hang tight. Okay, I decided to put it straight onto my face, so I'm just gonna put a couple of dots there and a couple of dots there. We're gonna blend it out with the same brush that I used to blend in my foundation. And again, just using stippling motions to diffuse it. If it looks really dark for you or like really pigmented, don't worry, because you haven't put on your powder yet. So don't worry about it. It's supposed to look kind of strong. Okay, I have all of my liquids, all of my creams on my face. Now we're gonna go in with powder and just powder everything down. That's really just gonna lock in my foundation and my makeup and hold everything in place for the day. And it's pretty much gonna be like sweat proof, waterproof, life proof. It's just gonna be proofed. So one last thing before I go in with my powder, I wanna get rid of those lines underneath my eyes. Like whenever I put on concealer or anything kind of creamy, I just crease. It's just a way of life for me. So I need to make sure I'm getting rid of any creasing before I put on the powder, because if you put powder on top, you're just gonna set those creases and you don't want that. So I'm using the concealer side of my sponge and really just smoothing out all of those creases. And I like to do just one eye at a time when I'm getting ready to powder underneath my eyes. So creasing is gone, and now I'm gonna turn my sponge over to this side here. And I'm gonna use my Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. I'm using the shade Honey, so I'm using this side here. Dip in, and what I like to do is it gets a little heavy. I tap off the excess on my hand just so it's a smooth layer of powder. And then hopefully I didn't talk too long. I kind of creased a little bit, so I'm gonna use this side, the concealer side, to clean up the creasing. It's crazy how fast my under eyes crease. So now that's gone. So now I'm gonna take the powder side and just lay that powder down. I don't bake because I don't want my under eyes to look so dark. So I really just press that translucent powder in, and it just gets rid of all of the shine and just smooths everything out, and it just looks so good. Now I'm gonna get the other side, and then we'll powder down the rest of the face. Go back in and just go in with this powder. So I like to put it all over wherever I put my concealer on. I'm gonna put on some setting powder. For my nose, I like to put it or concentrate the powder down the center, right where I had the concealer. And then once I start to blend out that setting powder, I will get the sides of my nose because I like it to be powdered down before I go in with my powder bronzer. So if your powder gets a little too heavy in certain areas, that's what the bottom of this blender is for. I usually go in and just pick up the excess powder and just really smooth and blend everything out. So now I'm gonna use the bottom of this blender and just go over the sides of my nose, because like I want it to be kind of powdered down but not too much, because I still want that natural color. It's lighter in the center where I put the concealer, and I still want it to have like that natural brown on the side, but I also want it to be powdered down. So I just use the bottom of my blender and bring some of that powder over. It also helps when I'm putting on my powder bronzer. It doesn't make my foundation muddy because it was kind of set with a little bit of setting powder. So now I'm just using the butt of my blender and picking up that excess powder and bringing it up towards my forehead where I place that foundation and contour stick, just to kind of settle everything down before I go in with bronzer. And also do the same with my cheeks. Bring some of that excess powder down and just powder down the face. All right, y'all, see? I ain't looking like no glazed donut now. It's coming together. So next in the routine, we're continuing with the powders, is to use a bronzer. And I use a powder bronzer. The one I'm using today is gonna be by LYS. It's the No Limits Matte Bronzer in the shade Strength. It's the dark shade. Looks like this. So, and I'm also gonna use like a powder brush that I got off of, I think, Amazon, y'all. I just buy brushes wherever I see them. And just go in a little bit with, well, that was kind of a lot, but going with a little bit of bronzer. And I usually start with my forehead. And I just put as much bronzer as I want. Since it's summertime, I like to be bronzy. So I do tend to bring it down a lot more than I need to. But I like a bronzy look. And you see how it just takes away the shine and it just sets the foundation and the contour that I put on my forehead. Okay, I'm gonna go in the same with my cheeks. And be careful putting it on your cheeks because you don't want it to bring it all the way down here. So what I like to do is just pinch this brush and really just stipple it in the areas where I want bronze or want to be bronzed. So, which is usually just right there on my cheek area. Do the same with the other side. And I know I could probably just use a smaller brush, but I try to use as few brushes as possible and just use one brush for multiple different uses. So that's why I'm using this one, and just squeeze the bristles and make it smaller. I'm also gonna get the sides of my nose using my same method, just pinching the brush, dip into the bronzer, and that's how I contour my nose. So I'll just pinch the brush. I don't need it to be that precise. I like the bronzy look, so just pinch the brush and I put it on the sides of my nose just to add a little bit of shadow. Now that I have my bronzer on, I'm gonna go back to my setting powder and I'm gonna use the powder side of my sponge, and I'm just gonna like line out the area that I want to be a little lighter than my bronzer, just to make sure I'm sharpening up like my contour area, because I want it to be kind of sharp but not really. So I just dipped into the top of my Laura Mercier setting powder. Of course, I'm gonna dip off the excess on my hand, and I like to just take the line, go and just smooth it across my face. That just helps to add a little bit of lightness to my face. Don't worry about the line, we're gonna fix that. Just trust the process. I try to look in the mirror straight ahead just to make sure when I'm putting this powder on, I'm putting it on even, so it's not all high up here and low down here. You'll only be looking crazy, you know? And now I have my powder on. Now I'm just gonna bounce it until I don't see the powder anymore. I just wanna really press it into the skin, blend it all the way in before I go in with my, I don't know, second to last step. We'll see. So I just bounce, 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 bounce. I know there's still gonna be a line there that you're gonna see, but it's gonna go away. Making sure I'm setting like my little smile lines. I don't really get smile lines, but I set them anyway. Okay, so this is what we're looking like. We're getting really powdered down and really set for anything, really. Just to go out and not have to worry about your makeup moving. So now the next step in the routine is to go in with this powder here. So I'm using the Dior Backstage Face and Body Powder No Powder. And I like this one because it doesn't give you like that really powdery look, but it does help to blend everything in together and get rid of like this line right here that I see on my face. And I like to use a really fluffy brush. So this is this Sonia? This is from Sonia Kashuk, and you can get this from Target for $20. And also I use the shade 5N. And I just swirl my brush in here. It's a very, very light coverage powder. It's not gonna really give me any type of coverage. It just really helps to just blend everything in together. So just rub my brush in and just pat it all over my face. And because it doesn't really give that coverage, it's gonna really just help to smooth everything out and just make everything look real natural, you know? So if there were any areas that didn't get powdered down with either setting powder or bronzer, it's gonna get powdered with this powder no powder. So I just blend all of that in, just making sure the entire face is set. get the nose too, because I know it's kind of not as precise as I normally should be. And I just make sure I'm blending everything together. And then also let me get my forehead. I just tend to put the powder like right where the bronzer and the concealer meet, just to make sure there's no lines and everything is just smooth and seamless. All right, see, now everything is looking powdered down, and you see when I put the blush on, it's kind of gone once you put on all of those different powders. I just like to have that base there. I don't know why, when you can just use a powder blush and be done with it, but you know, it's just what I do. So now for a powder blush, I'm going to be using the one by Mented. It's in the shade Pinky Promise. It's a powder blush. And I am going to use this blush brush. So this one is kind of angled, and just go in, swirl it in my little palette, and go light because this can get a little pigmented, and just lightly place it where I place my liquid blush. If it does get a little bit too heavy, you can always go back and take away some of the pinkness. I like blush. I like blush and I like bronzer, so it doesn't bother me at all. That is it for all of the powders. So we put on all of our liquids and creams. Then we went in with powders and powdered it all down and just really set it into place. And now it's time to seal everything in and melt everything together. So now I'm gonna go in with this Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. It's 16-hour wear, and it's just really gonna melt everything together. So I like to just spray my face. I try not to get it on my eyes because I don't want my shadow to change colors or get darker. So I just cover up my eyes and spray all over my face. And now I just got this, y'all, in my Ulta birthday haul, and this little bottle, it gets clogged up. I do not like this at all. So once this one is done, I'm probably gonna be done with this spray and never go back, but that's another video. So let me just continue to see, it's clogged up. Laura, this is terrible, girl. Oh, there we go. Wow. Okay, anyway, I just had to change setting sprays because that was about to get on my nerves. So now I'm going to use my ColourPop Pretty Fresh setting spray with hyaluronic acid and just give it a shake. And I'm going to go back in and just spray it all over. You want your foundation and all of your makeup to be like damp, but not soaking wet, because you just want it to melt all together. So it's to just look like an even layer of foundation. Okay. So you're gonna let that dry, and now you're gonna go in with the big dog. So this one I don't recommend using every single day. Only use it when you really need your makeup to last all day long. And it's the Ben Nye Final Seal Setting Spray. It's not a setting spray, it's a fixing spray. There is a difference, you guys. So this is gonna be a setting spray. It's meant to just melt all of your makeup together and make it look like one nice even layer and nice and smooth. And this is a fixing spray. It's meant to really hold your makeup in place. So it's like a hairspray for your face. So now this one gets clogged up too. So I like to do a little test spray. There we go. Make sure that the nozzle is cleared out. And I'm still gonna do this with my eyes and just go over my face. You don't need a lot. So I just did one here. I'll probably do one spray here and one spray here. Woo. Woo, girl. It has a really strong, like, minty scent. So just beware if you get it. All right, and that's all you need. So this is like my full coverage, natural looking summer foundation routine type of look. And it's gonna stay in place all day. So now let me just finish out the rest of my eyes and my lips, and then we're gonna close it out. By the way, I'm using the Maybelline Final Ink, y'all. This lipstick is it, y'all. All right, y'all, so that is it for my summer foundation routine. If y'all like this video, make sure you give me a huge thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, hit those notification bells so you're notified every time I upload a new video. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.